AFTV, Julian, as I'm saying to everybody, it feels like 2 points drop.
Yeah, someone said to me it's not the end of the world.
Sorry?
Someone said to me it's not the end of the world, but it does feel like it feels like the end of the world. I mean, yes, the expectation levels have been set so high that it does feel like the end of the world. But the other side of it is that another reason we all feel so dejected is because we know what we're up against. We're up against a machine that could quite easily go and get 100 points. So seasons previous to this, you can have a draw against Fulham. As you said, it's the third game. We've won 2, we've drawn 1. Positives are we're undefeated. But we're playing against a team that is an absolute machine and that can go on to win 100 points. I read, I think, the preview on the Arsenal website. It said Fulham were on the brink of winning their first 2 games, and I thought that's got to be a misprint. You know, when you looked at the Fulham team, when you looked at the stats behind it, I think we'd won 30 games against them, or at least we hadn't.
We've never lost at home to Fulham, and we nearly did today.
Yeah, we'd never lost, and the reality was we were on the brink, because it hadn't been for Aaron Ramsdale's fabulous save, and we kind of lose sight of that because we came out so dejected. That could have easily been a loss. They were absolutely on the brink, and people are blaming the formation. People are blaming Arteta. Yes, there can be some criticism when it doesn't work. It's all very well in hindsight to come out and criticise. Oh, Partey shouldn't play there, but ultimately it was a mistake, and I don't think it actually mattered who was playing at right back. Saka played the ball. It was one of the greatest assists I've seen this season, straight to their player. Ramsdale was in no man's land. I can't blame him. No one was expecting it. It was one of those mistakes. It couldn't get worse than that. And then what happens is that we're chasing the game. Fulham, they've got a good manager. They've got some good players. They're well organised. It's so much easier to defend than to attack. Football, the way that it's structured, put 10, 11 players behind the ball, what are you going to do? It's difficult to break down, and Arsenal were trying everything, but it started on a bad foot. And yes, we've got to cut out those mistakes, but they don't train to make those mistakes. So how can you blame Arteta for something so ludicrous?
What is it about Arsenal that at home we concede so many goals? We concede early goals loads of times. We concede so many goals at home. And then we'll go away and we'll be I saw a stat during the week that says we've kept the most clean sheets away from home than any team in the Premier League. Four more clean sheets than Manchester City. But when we play at home for some reason, which should be the fortress, we concede so many goals and so many early goals. I think today was the fastest goal conceded by any team today. Again, what is it? What's going wrong at home?
Yeah, and it's not only it's the fastest goal today, but it's not the fastest goal that we've seen conceded.
No, we've seen quicker.
Yeah, we've seen Southampton last season, Bournemouth last season. Now, there's 2 things to look at: is how do Arsenal play at home, but also how do the opposition play at home? And the difference is the opposition come onto us more when they're playing at home, and it kind of opens up space. They just defend so deeply. Every team that comes here, in a way, it's a compliment to us, but it's just becoming boring. They just play so many players behind the ball. And
Crystal Palace had everybody behind the ball the other night. Why is it? It was the same thing. But we defended better. I don't understand why we are so poor defending at home. I mean, look at that corner. I mean, that was terrible defending on that corner.
Yeah, it was, but it was also a result of a terrible piece of play from Zinchenko. But what I didn't like about that piece of play, and I'm going to compliment Arteta in one sense and then kind of criticise him in another, because the substitutions he made to get us back into the game were brilliant. Every single one worked. I mean, Vieira was phenomenal. Eddie came on and really interjected some pace and enthusiasm into play. But then what did he do? Because we spoke just before they scored. We were playing a team that's probably going to end up in the bottom half of the league with a few minutes to go, and they had 10 men. And what did we do? We brought on a defensive. We took off Odegaard and we brought on Jorginho. Now, tactically, it's obvious what he was trying to do. He was just trying to hold on to the result. Now, we shouldn't have to just hold on to the result when we're playing against 10 men at home, a team that's technically and in every way inferior to us. But what he was putting out was a psychological message to Fulham that we're now going to defend, you can come and attack us. And it changed almost immediately. And we said that even though it looks like we should absolutely be coasting this game, we were nervous already, and we should have never been nervous. It's psychological. It's almost like we don't believe how good we are. I don't think City would have gone on to do that. I think City would have gone on and scored a third and maybe a fourth. They would have just put them to the sword, whereas we didn't have enough belief in ourselves to be able to carry on attacking them, play the football that got us back into the game. We just conceded ground, conceded the substitution, went back defensively and gave them the enthusiasm to come on and attack us.
And finally, are too many fans around here panicking? I hear a lot of people like, it's the third game of the season. We haven't, like you said, we are actually unbeaten. I know everybody trotted up here today thinking 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, but it's the Premier League. Of course.
Yeah, it is the Premier League. Are we panicking? Under normal circumstances, I would say absolutely not. It's the third game. We're undefeated. We're pretty high up in the table. We're in a good position. But as I said at the beginning of the interview, we're up against this team that can quite easily get 100 points, and losing at home to Fulham, drawing, it feels like a loss. It does feel like a loss. It's something to, let's just say, I'm not panicking, I'm slightly concerned.